All right, we've done about 50 videos like this at this point. Let's not waste any time. R.F. Kuang announced Taipei Story a couple months ago and it just got a cover. I think, well, it's gotten 2 covers. There's one definitely better than the other. I don't know if I've ever read the synopsis. College freshman Lily Chen is off to spend the summer in Taipei at an intensive language program. Makes sense for R.F. Kuang. Blah, 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 blah. Classes are grueling, roommates driving her insane, reckless trips. Then shocking news, Lily's grandfather has passed away. The loss forces her to grapple with now unanswerable questions about her family history. As Lily grieves, she's drawn into a journey of self-discovery, piecing together memories, stories, and silences over a series of hilarious and devastating attempts at connection. Sounds good. Didn't matter what the synopsis was, I was gonna read it. Pictures of You by Josh Malerman. It's getting really bad early reviews already. It's at a 2.7 on Goodreads, which is so crazy considering like only a couple ARC readers had their hands on it. They're hating it. I'm obviously gonna love it. A woman becomes the subject of an artist's mysterious experiment. Yeah, in this intense and dreamlike supernatural thriller. I'm gonna love it. I just know it. Emily's picture of her life is about to change. She's madly in love with her new boyfriend, Jack, and they're about to embark on a life together. But then everything changes. She wakes up from an ecstatic night out with Jack to find herself in a strange hotel room with Jack nowhere to be found. When she tries to leave the room, she discovers it's inside a picture frame. She's trapped inside the art. I like the cover. What do you think? The Unhaunting by Mackay Johnson. It seems a little haunted housey. At the end of the Civil War, a daughter of the Confederacy made what she thought was an innocent, missing a word, of course, as always, in the Goodreads synopsis, choice, to build a house where nothing bad could happen. But peace came at a price, and 170 years later, Chantal and her friends are about to discover where all that darkness ended up. Ooh, side note, red is the color of this time of year. We're talking about summer and fall, a little bit of winter, 2026. And then I think a couple of these come out in 2027, but like red is really the vibe right now. When Chantal's best friend Avery tells her she's inherited a house big enough to make their dreams of a sanctuary come true, she's too cautious to be optimistic. A lifetime of loss has taught her cynicism, and even though Avery swears the house has never experienced a tragedy, she goes along expecting everything from black mold to evil spirits. The house is in better shape than they expected. Chantal's anxiety stops flaring up. Terminally shallow Avery is suddenly capable of deeper emotions, and Tobias, Avery's older brother and the contractor for the job, even quits chain smoking. There's an eeriness to the calm, but it's almost a relief when they realize they do not walk alone in Abernathy House. If nothing bad has happened here, where are all the ghosts coming from? Great question. I'm scared. The Strangers by Naomi Alderman. I read The Power and I gave it 3 stars. That was years ago, and this cover I quite like. So let's find out what it's about. They came from nowhere and they are everywhere. Dun, dun, dun. A few months after her mother dies, the novelist Naomi Alderman sets up a wildlife camera in the back garden of her parents' home. It captures the first image of a strange new animal, low to the ground, about the size of a badger, flat face, long, trunk-like nose. Suddenly, these mimoths are as common as foxes or dogs, and no one knows where they've come from. As Alderman negotiates the territory of grief, a place with its own logic and rhythms, the mimoths spread from the UK, east and west to the United States to Russia to India. They seem harmless but oddly intelligent. They cannot be captured. They will not take food from humans. They have their own purposes. Alderman cannot shake the feeling that she has a particular connection to the creatures. Or is she just succumbing to mimoth psychosis? Great question. Next question, why is Naomi writing a fake memoir? The Strangers is a thrilling, original, and devastatingly moving novel that blurs the lines between fiction and reality, inviting us to reconsider what it means to be human. It's like nothing you've read before. Give it to me. Big Man by Dean Ada. I've read YA from this author. This is, I don't know if it's an adult debut, but I'm pretty sure it's adult. Big Man follows the life of Big, a middle-aged Black British gay man who lives a gentle life with his boyfriend Little in their home in East London. Big and Little enjoy evenings out and group holidays with friends as much as practicing yoga together at home and running side by side along the Hackney canals. Big came of age in the club scene under the watchful eye of Mother, an African-American trans woman who made a home and a name for herself in London. Her house was a refuge for wayward queer youth like Big. When he finds out Mother is releasing a memoir, the two reconnect after decades of distance, and Big finds himself having to confront a long-repressed assault that opens old and new wounds. A tender, daring novel full of gentle humor, Big Man explores themes of identity, aging, sex, family, and trauma, turning a lens on what it means to age as a queer person. Yeah, I'm going to read that. How about you? Wick Hills by Premi Muhammad. I read Butcher of the Forest by this author and really liked it, so I wanted to see what this one is. It looks more fantastical for sure and not just kind of folksy. In the dangerous, magical city of Wick Hills, a streetwise secret agent is tasked with protecting a foreign detector from his pursuers, even at the threat of war. Okay, looking after a defecting scientist should have been Ferrick's easiest mission, but now he's on the run from an intelligence agency she works for, dodging a handler who might have gone rogue and relying on a secret patchwork of illicit resources and dodgy contracts. Oh, this is a full-length novel. Okay, I don't know if I'm the most interested in a full-length novel. Like, I feel like I could do a novella. Ferrick and his team have to go underground. Down here, the rules are different. And the tense peace between every city in the world will shatter unless Ferrick can drag their darkest secrets into the light. I'll see what people think of that. Witch Daughter is another author I've read from, Tanaz Batina, her YA. I think this is her adult debut. Rumors of witchcraft follow Princess Tamina like a storm cloud, making it impossible for her to secure herself a marriage of any kind of future. With her father, the king's health in question, it becomes shockingly clear how desperate her situation will soon become in his absence. If she doesn't act now, she will quickly find herself destitute and desperate. Amina seeks out a prophecy from which she learns she will fall in love with a warrior of great renown named Rostam and bear him a son. However, she is warned this match is a dangerous one for her. Heedless of the warning, Tamina boldly orchestrates a meeting with Rostam, and the two develop a close friendship and ultimately fall in love and marry. Okay, great. At the peak of her joy, this is giving me the whole plot. At the peak of her joy, Tamina gives birth to Sohrab, Rostam's son. All too soon, Tamina learns the tragic second part of the prophecy. Father and son will meet as enemies in battle, and one will die at the hand of another. This is too much information. What follows is mother's desperate attempt to undo the threads of fate and try to protect her son at all costs. Okay, so maybe all of that happens like pretty early in the book, and then the rest of it, like it sounds like, is her trying to make it not happen. Okay. Cover's fine. I haven't seen an ugly cover yet. Let's continue. We have 2 questy books. Which one are you going to pick up? For the Love of the Quest or Till Quest Do Us Part? This one, the cartoony looking one, is by Alexandra Amon Parthun. The search for King Arthur's Excalibur invites danger and potentially love in this sapphic historical romance perfect for fans of Cass Sebastian and for Freya Marsky. Lady Edith Darling is supposed to live a quiet life in her family's manor. She's not supposed to go unchaperoned on a quest to find Excalibur. But Edith won't let that stand in her way, especially not when she's on this mission to honor her beloved grandmother's dying wish. Okay, who's the other person? Thomasine Shaw leads the most feared gang in London. For years, she's had the constabulary safely in her pocket until a scandal involving the chief inspector's wife brought it to light. Now he's demanding an enormous sum of money. So they're gonna work together, find this thing, thieve. Ooh, it's sapphic, so I want to read it, but I don't know if that's a plot that I would really be into. Till Quest Do Us Part, 2 former teen protagonists who saved the world now need to learn how to be adults with adult feelings in this witty, warm, romantic fantasy. I don't know about this one either. Sometimes the self-awareness can be fun and kitschy, and sometimes it's just cringe. So, Princess Alisand, voice of the thousand-eyed goddess, impulsively made a vow to her king, Farron, at 18 years old under the secrecy of night and the thousand watchful eyes of her patron deity. To be fair, they expected to perish at the hands of a raging sorceress the next day, but they didn't. Once she took the throne, everything changed. Ellie and Farron agreed that they were too young and too important, as the now queen and knight guardian, to be anything more. And with Elise's responsibility as the new sovereign of her people, it was better to forget the whole thing than risk the kingdom's newfound peace. 10 years later, Ellie finds herself needing to marry a prince of a neighboring territory for political advantage and discovers that she is technically married to her best friend. And the goddess won't let her out of the oath that easily. Now Ellie and Farron must work together to seek the deity and break their vows in favor of a greater good, even if they risk rekindling a flame that never truly died. That sounds cutesy. It's by Ivelisse Hausman. I think I'll let You guys check that out and tell me if I need to read it. Eternity in 3 Acts by Anne Say Lin does not have a cover yet, but I want to see it. It says, a dying God, a collapsing world, the fate of time lies in their hands. The God of time is dying, and the world is unraveling with his every labored breath. There's only one solution: create a new God to replace the old, an idea so blasphemous it is punishable by death. Shion is the chosen candidate. He has known no life but the one chosen for him. At once a sacrificial lamb and divine successor, he has no time for dreams, no space for love. Then he meets Junyu, a charismatic player carving out a new life on the stage. Once a farrier carrying sacrifices across the sea, he is the only one who can help Shion reach his goal. But first, the two men will have to brave time-warped landscapes, wild beasts, and perilous seas, all the while evading the hourglass temple's notice. And as the journey, Junyu awakes something in Shion he was never meant to feel. To save the world, Shion must die, and Junyu must bear the burden of letting him go. It can only end in tragedy. ... That sounds good. There is actually quite a lot of time playing that we're doing in upcoming books. Here's another one. Double Take by Tashi Buyin. This is another one that doesn't have a cover yet. And it doesn't have a synopsis either. It just says it's the adult debut of this author. It's following a pair of estranged twin sisters who make the same wish on their 25th birthday and suddenly find themselves traveling through the multiverse together in search of a universe where their wish came true. That sounds fun. Another time travel one, I assume because it's called Just in Time, by Emily Weberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. I love this cover. I think it's really pretty. It says time travel weaves the past and present of two strangers together in this whimsical romance. For Gwen, taking a yellow taxi cab in New York City is a magical experience, literally. When Gwen hails any taxi and mutters a date in her past, she's transported to that time. She's never met anyone else with this ability until Ian. For Ian, time travel is helping the people he loves. He has infinite chances to look out for his family, to hang out with his brother who needs him more than his sibling lets on, even to prevent life-changing tragedy. But what if he overextends himself or feels himself losing touch with the present? They run into each other. They connect. They'll have to decide between an imperfect future together or a past free of heartache. Ah, how fun. Okay, this one comes out really soon, but I only just heard about it, so I thought I would let you know it's a thing in case we like similar things, because this also sounds like a time loop situation. The House of Now and Then by Edward Underhill. Harlow could use a break. With his academic future over, just like his relationship with his long-term boyfriend Jackson, a suspicious, cheap summer rental on the Cape feels like just the escape he needs. But when he arrives at the picturesque seaside cottage, he's alarmed to find his discouraged old professor in the living room, his father making coffee in the kitchen, and a handsome young repairman fixing things in the bedroom. Worst of all, Jackson is in the bathroom. None of them will leave. No one else can see them, and they won't leave him alone. The house isn't magic only for Harlow, and as the summer grows hot and thick with tourists, old wounds and fresh secrets, both in and outside its walls, begin to transform him. It's clear the house is trying to tell him something, and he's sure it has something to do with the mysterious repairman who's suddenly everywhere he looks. But can Harlow let go of his past long enough to listen? Evoking all the windswept dunes and 4th of July fireworks of a perfect Cape Cod day, the House of Now and Then asks who you would find if all of your unfinished business was just behind one door. That sounds fun. But wait, there's more. The Minute Givers by Christine Smonk. I love this cover. A woman uses her ability to rewind time to conduct her own investigation when her exes start mysteriously dying. That sounds fun. I just saw the cover and I was like, I know this is going to be for me. Renee Karen can rewind time. 60 seconds for every man she's ever met. A minute from her childhood pen pal, 1 from her most recent ex-boyfriend, and now her latest crush delivers number 8. But when Renee loses a minute of her rewind power, and then another, each corresponding to a minute giver's suspicious death, it becomes clear that someone is targeting her exes and her. As her powers dwindle, Renee must use what she has left of them to clear her name and track down a killer who seems intent on erasing all 8 minutes and minute givers from existence. But beyond that, Renee has to reckon with the chaos her power has wrought on her life and decide just how far she's willing to go for true love. In this universe of unlimited do-overs, can she create a perfect reality? I want to read that. I do. A lot of times in these videos, if you are new here, hi, I'm talking about upcoming releases, things that have been recently announced, and we decide together if we want to read them. And a lot of times when I read the synopsis, I'm like, no, that's actually not for me. And then I don't read it. But most of the time, I do find things based on just like little glimpses that I see before we fully read it that I know it's going to be my vibe. And then I get convinced. Is there any other time looking ones on my list? This one, The Library of Lost Time by Vaishnavi Patel, has no information except it says it's a time travel adventure about book banning and enduring the power of love. So we're going to read that one. Another coverless one with a very brief little blurb is Hell to Pay by Kylie Lee Baker. Very excited about this. It's following the relationship among 3 roommates whose everyday struggle to survive in modern day New York City is complicated by an intestine-eating demon who haunts their apartment. Sure, I'll read that. You know what I shouldn't read? Milk Teeth by Caitlin Starling. I have never liked a Caitlin Starling, but I just keep getting intrigued. I also don't really like horror about babies and early motherhood. But this cover, it's so good. Beatrice is a vampire responsible for nursing newly made fledglings through the first year of their life. She nests in an abandoned, isolated warren of office space beneath her patron's skyscraper, raising 2 fractious, I think I'm missing a word, gorgeous something? Once a heartthrob, now to all appearances a living corpse, who longs for the return of the lover who made him immortal with all the fervor of a rebellious teen. And Fortunata, the scion of Beatrice's mistress, alien and ambitious in her desires. I hate the way this synopsis is written. But when Beatrice decides to take on a 3rd fledgling, the product of an attempt siren gone wrong, teetering between vampiric purity and ghoulish depravity, Beatrice finds herself strained to breaking between the societal and physical demands of her position, her own ravenous hunger, and an obsessive need to discover what's happening to her, there's been no periods in 4 lines, because her body is changing too, transforming her into something even more monstrous. End of sentence. She begins to crave the taste of flesh, something anathema to all vampires, and to swing between desperate hunger and vicious power. Desperate to master herself once more, Beatrice courts a mortal OBGYN who might be able to unravel the secrets of her unnatural anatomy. I'm losing interest the more this goes on. Maybe this is for you. Let's keep it going with horror. An Immaculate Deception by Isabella Lavino. This is a debut gothic horror set in 1870s Brazil, a tale of creeping suspense in which a young pregnant woman finds herself unable to escape her lover's isolated family home and a family's deal with the devil gone terribly wrong. Scary. She Isn't Herself Tonight by Haley Piper. This is a literary horror novel following a young woman on the heels of a traumatic breakup as she anxiously awaits an impending alien abduction. When Rabbit, our main character, was 10 years old, she was abducted by aliens. Then it happens again when she's 20. Now 30, she's ready for their next visit. Struggling to orient herself with a world growing more topsy-turvy by the day, Rabbit must regain control before her aliens at last return. Sure. The Turning of Sally Mae by Nuzo Ano. When Sally Mae Jenkins is violated and impregnated by the twin scions of a wealthy rancher, she's sent to join the African missionary ship as a widow. Pregnant and terrified, Sally Mae vows vengeance on all those who abused her and her family. Another character, Amara, a young woman with the body and face of an old hag. The village outcast, Amara can eat the diseases ravaging the villagers and cure the most deadly ailments. But her powers drain her youth and her strength. When they meet up, the unborn twins become the focus of a python goddess, Asada, who wants the twins dead. It's a supernatural horror, bitter revenge, battling deities, suffused with Ano's trademark thrilling storytelling, wit, and dark humor. Whew, that was a lot. In Your Heart, a Devil. This is one of my favorite covers of this moment in time. I love in general, like the paintings, the incredible, like classic kind of art being turned into covers. And this is no different. For years, I want this one, like honestly, the cover is so good that I want the synopsis to sound so good. And I am going to be disappointed if I then am not interested in the content. For years, bonfires have been lit by superstitious villagers in the town of S, intended to ward off the spirit of the man who was once their laird. His widow still watches from the window of a big empty house on the hill. Isabel has heard the rumors about her husband, but only she knows what goes on behind closed doors, because behind every enigmatic man there's a woman with a heart full of secrets. It was decades ago that she left her grief-shadowed home in Portugal and began her search for her father. As her investigation leads her to the rugged landscapes of Scotland, she couldn't have foreseen the dark heart that was to win over her own. Misled into a loveless marriage and confined to a dark manor so unlike the sun-drenched home she left behind, she quickly came to know the sharp pulse of longing and the deeper wound of rejection. Okay, and then he arrived, a man so different from anyone she'd met before, a man the villagers feared, a man who evoked the burning desire in her husband that she had so ached for. A gothic tale of unrequited longing and unfathomable betrayal. In your heart, a devil beckons readers through an unforgivable hall where servants whisper and shadows stir, into chambers where forbidden vows are bound in candlelight, and into the heart of a woman who's ready to emerge from her husband's mythologized shadow to tell her own story. Yeah, like it sounds good. Does that sound incredible? I don't know. Accumulation, another very good cover. A twisty, searing, conversation-starting novel about a filmmaker turned housewife who moves into her dream home and is forced to reconsider whether it's the house or herself who's haunted. Sounds like a good classic one. They have 2 young children who start to act out in strange ways, and it seems to be centered around them. Okay. Strange is the Light by Sarah Maria Griffin. I can't be the only one who thinks this cover is no shade to the designer. And like, because this gets approved through multiple people. This is what they want it to look like. I personally think this is hideous. And if I didn't already know who the author was, like this never would go on my radar. Let's see what it's about. It follows a passionately entangled group of childhood friends, fractured by the betrayals and secrets kept as they grew into adulthood. Now, after 20 years, Daphne, Ronan, Leonie, and Finn will finally have to face the consequences of cutting their last adventure short. Having accidentally opened a rift into a dangerous alternate dimension, we're playing a mysterious RPG version of their childhood game. Daphne never took her final turn, and there is debt that must be paid. It sounds a little goofy silly. It looks a little goofy silly. I'm probably gonna read it. Why is it so ugly? Now this cover, this one is good, and it really goes well with Bloom. So this is Monstera by Delilah S. Dawson. A reclusive young woman moves into what seems like the perfect apartment and is obsessively drawn to her reclusive neighbor who keeps a lush garden and is hiding a deadly secret. Eat the Ones You Love meets Wilder Girls. Sensual, sapphic, botanical horror novella. I am gonna love this. Maisie Wood by Tananarive Due. So excited that this is coming out in September. Okay, it says All the Sinners Bleed meets My Sister the Serial Killer in this literary thriller following the grandson of a famous Black actress from the 1940s, now a filmmaker herself, who returns to his grandmother's cabin retreat in the California mountains only to encounter the legacy of her rage. With flashbacks to Johnny's grandmother, this novel explores 3 generations, beginning with Mizelle Washington's life as a young actress. 50 years after Mizelle's death, Johnny will discover the secret she's kept and nurtured since she was a child when she had a dark wish come true. There's a monster in the woods outside her mountain retreat, Maisie Wood, and it is lonely and angry. I am going to read that, and it's going to be great. I love pretty much every Tananarive Due. This one, There Used to Be People Here by Kennedy Cole. I really like the cover of this. 1970s Mississippi. Okay, this is horror. A Black detective and his temporary partner are assigned to a case that shifts from murder to paranormal conspiracy with life-altering repercussions. A man enters the bathroom of a local gay bar and doesn't come back out. Instead, he's found cold on the floor and facing the wall, and no one seems to know what happened. Samuel is Winston's only Black detective. Assigned to the case, Samuel's one goal is to keep his head down with his eyes on moving up in the police ranks, but it's not easy with Harvey, a new temporary partner who Samuel can't seem to like or hate. As his investigation leads him to a curious plane crash cover-up, Samuel's placid existence is turned on its head because what crashed in Wenton isn't a plane. There are others here. They like it here. And if Samuel can't stop them, they will find a way to stay. I was going to say, like, it feels horror, but it seems sci-fi, so I guess it's going to be a mix. Horror sci-fi is a blend I don't always love, but I will be picking that one up. Portrait of a Haunting. The red is still here. I guess like a lot of horror and thrillers are bloody, so it makes sense that they want to be read, but this cover is fantastic. Do you love it? After fearing it all her life, a young woman embraces her ability to see ghosts after a murder occurs that appears dangerously linked to her past. She can see spirits. This is by Madison Tyler Nelson. The spirits know about a murder that's coming and a price that must be paid. Tatum will be forced to risk the lives of those who know her or risk it all. As the Snow Gathers by Mare Joyce. This one says, Dominic was born in Applin Shade, a remote Canadian town built on the bones of another that vanished without a trace. Bookish and quiet, he never asked to lead his family, but after a carriage crash kills his father and leaves his sister forever changed, he has no choice. The only person who truly sees him is Lex, a logger in the camp near town, and the love Dominic must keep secret. Together, they dream of escaping Applin Shade, a place where isolation breeds judgment and every kindness hides a cost. But the forage is no refuge. The Fantour dwell there, shadowed beings who come at night to drain the dead of their blood and return them for burial by dawn. They've never touched the living until now. As winter descends and the Fantour strike back against the logging camp, Dominic and Lex must fight for their lives, their love, and a way out of the woods' tightening grasp. Horror romance? I need more of that. This cover, it's got an eyeball, and it's got a person falling, and it's the sky, and it's clouds, and the colors are so beautiful. There is no synopsis on Goodreads, but I originally saw it on Instagram, so let's see its little blurb. A writer at the edge, a voice that isn't theirs, a reality that won't stick. Fresh off the success of their first novel, a writer, intense, ambitious, and increasingly embittered by the purpose of art, struggles with feelings of despair. Despite achieving their childhood dream, they find themselves dissatisfied and despondent in a post-pandemic world that feels violent and unstable. Amidst the turmoil and looming deadline, the writer tries and fails to create. When does it get weird? They begin to experience strange hallucinatory visions. Enigmatic letters and sketches appear written in handwriting that isn't their own, followed by sightings of a mysterious figure, which blur the line between the narrator's fiction and lived reality. These challenges and secrets I'm waiting for a package. The writer harbors, alienating them from their loved ones, their art, and themselves. Maybe it's stopping here. Despite forays into learning a heritage language, traveling abroad, and changing their look, and visions persist until one fateful event which draws the writer and the mysterious figure together. With her signature daring approach and evocative prose, I've never heard from this author before, they explore immigration and modern womanhood in this wholly original novel. Interesting. Okay, this one, the cover, there's two covers for this again. I actually don't know which I prefer. I think probably the one with the pink column down the middle, but you let me know which one you like. And just based on the cover, and I think the little blurb that I saw, I decided this was going to be a 5-star read for me. And like, that makes a lot of sense. So it comes out next month, actually. Two unlikely heroes embark on quests to win God's favor. That's what I saw. Doesn't that sound fun? Yara can't comprehend why God has chosen them to slay Dominic, the ruthless leader of the army of bad guys. Cast out by their family and reeling from a destructive relationship, Yara has never felt weaker, but has nothing left to lose, so they strike a deal. Abandoning their solitary days of embroidery and obsessive cleaning, Yara reluctantly embarks on a perilous odyssey designed to prepare them for the daunting mission ahead. Meanwhile, Adrena, a disillusioned prophet with a terrifying secret power, is determined to become the hero of the story. Desperate seeking the glory of God's approval and the promise of heaven, where she hopes to reunite with her beloved mother, Adrena must first persuade Harpo, the leader of the good guys, that her plan is God's will. As their journey unfolds in a series of unforgettable adventures, Yara and Adrena are propelled toward each other in a transformative revelations about death, life, and destiny in this captivating, irreverent epic from a singularly brilliant new voice in fiction. I'm gonna read it. Ooh, this one, this has two covers too. I feel like the pink and blue is better. And it was just the title that grabbed my attention, obviously. Fieldwork as a Sex Object by Meena Kandasamy. This follows a young Indian woman in London as she tries to reclaim her reputation after her image is circulated in a deep-fake porno, a fierce novel of incels, influencers, and AK-47s. That's the pitch. Amrita contains She's an accidental reality TV star, a self-appointed champion of the oppressed, and a full-time daddy's girl. In London, she goes by Amy and gallivants around Bloomsbury with the rest of Little India, until her world is upended. The author boldly questions what we are prepared to risk for our beliefs and fearlessly explores online harassment, political corruption, and the creep of the manosphere. It sounds interesting. Every story is a love story by Mbolo Mbui. So excited to read this. I've only read 5 stars from this author. Just 2 5 stars. So this one obviously is going to be 5-star, and then they can be a favorite author of all time. 3 years ago, Wolo's pregnant wife was killed in a tragic car accident. In an instant, the great love of his life was gone, and so was their beautiful... That's not my package either. So were their beautiful twins they were expecting. In the face of a loss that seems insurmountable, Wolo has slowly rebuilt a semblance of... There's a word missing. He goes to work, hangs out with a small circle of friends, and fends off the matchmaking efforts of the older women in his family. The grief that dogged him has, with time, become a little gentler, until a letter arrives one day unbidden, threatening to upend his life once again. It's from Victoria, the woman who was behind the wheel that terrible day. He agrees to meet up with the woman who killed his wife. When he does, the compassion and deep remorse of the woman affects him in ways he never could have imagined, and he begins to wonder if the long road to healing can be shared. Oh God. Big Little Lies is getting a sequel. Maybe you want to know that. It's called Big Little Truths. I don't want a sequel, but it's pretty. Then let's get into some happy romance things, okay? Sunflower Season by Danica Nava. I read a book from this author, thought it was good, didn't pick up her next book because it was like fame adjacent. So I've been hoping that something else would come out that I was interested in. I love this cover. Sunflower Season. Drained by her high pressure tech job, June finds an escape in homesteading videos and the fantasies of a quieter life. When she finally hits her breaking point, she does the only reasonable thing. There's a word missing. It quits her job and buys a crumbling sunflower farm in rural Oklahoma where she grew up. June thought her biggest challenge in restoring Sunshine Farm would be the rotting fences, but soon comes to the crushing realization that positive vibes are not a business plan. Nothing, however, tests her resolve quite like running into her first love, the boy she left behind after her world imploded when she was 17. She's back for a fresh start, not to unpack old heartbreaks. Okay. I guess I'm getting into second chance romance. I really didn't think that would be a subgenre or a trope within romance that I'd be into, but I have liked some, so I'm happy to give that a go. This one is very interesting. Save the Date by Mallory Cass, who happens to be Cass Morgan, author of The 100. Now she's doing a rom-com, and it's wedding-centric, which I love. A romantic comedy of manners about a lavish wedding weekend gone very, very wrong. The bride, beautiful, seemingly carefree Marigold, is tired of being treated like a shallow it girl. That's one of the many reasons she's excited to marry Jonathan, the kind, handsome, respectful doctor. Then we have the maid of honor. As the bride's best friend, all Natalie wants is his wedding to go off without a hitch. Did you see my eyes scan down to see if this was going to be sapphic? I had to check the tags really quick. There's only one problem. Natalie has secretly been in love with the groom since college. When Marigold disappears, Natalie is forced to ask whether she can keep bearing her feelings for the sake of her friendship or if she's ready to risk everything to pursue her own happy ending. That's crazy. The sister, Olivia, has spent her life cleaning up Marigold's messes. She's determined to keep the wedding on track for the sake of her mother, who's battling cancer and longs for one last perfect weekend. But when Jonathan's best man, a prickly academic with a heart of gold, ropes her into a fake dating scheme, sparks unexpectedly fly. Okay, so it's about them? Will Olivia sacrifice her own happiness again, or could this fake relationship turn into the truest choice she's ever made? Wait, this actually releases, like, when you're watching this. It comes out this week. I only just saw the cover reveal in my I must have seen it late, but I just saw it. Anyway, I'm intrigued enough to see what other people think of it before I decide to pick it up. What other romancy things? Okay, here's a sapphic one. Two Can Play at That Game by Zakaya N. Jamal. Chelsea has never cared about sports, but when she's invited to sit courtside at a New York WNBA game, she welcomes the break from her usual routine. I'm getting to the point where I can't read anymore. Could I ever? What she doesn't expect is a basketball nearly colliding with her face, or the 6'4" hottie who jogs over, flashing a heart-stopping grin to retrieve it. Adrian, A.D. Daniels, is a player on and off the court, notorious for their ability to stay in a relationship. Still, something about Chelsea sticks with them, even though their instant connection can't bring A.D. to offer more than one night. But A.D.'s agent makes Chelsea, there's a missing word, a deal, maybe? Pretend to be A.D.'s girlfriend. It's a strategic move. A.D. hopes to retire after the season, needs to lock down some brand deals, but their identity as a Black non-binary lesbian with a messy dating history makes sponsors wary. Chelsea, a sex-positive influencer, is ready to pivot her platform, and this feels like the perfect next step. Fake dating and sports comes out this November. Ooh, this one? Okay. I picked up this advent calendar romance that was one of the worst things I've ever read in my life. This is what that should have been all along, is short stories, not like a chapter every day of the same romance. This is what it needed to be, and this is what I'm going to pick up, and it's going to be fantastic. The 12 Loves of Christmas, an Advent romance collection. We have short stories from Alexander Bellafleur, that author I just spoke about, Rebecca Weatherspoon, Elise Bryant, Olivia Dade, Sarah Hogle. I've heard of a couple of these people, haven't heard of a couple. It says Countdown to Christmas with 12 sealed holiday love stories. So you have to like rip it open like an envelope every day, and I think it sounds perfect. There's a couple short story collections you must know about. Silent Nightmares, perfect for the holiday season. Haunting Stories to be Told on the Longest Night of the Year. We've got, it's edited by Chuck Palahniuk. Interesting. Where's the authors? It's the usual suspects. Josh Mallerman, Joe R. Lansdale, Alma Katsu, Ramsey Campbell, Cynthia Palaio, Gabino Iglesias. This is Unearthed, 19 original horror stories about ancient sites, uncovering forgotten histories, and prying open tombs of the past. We've got Tanarife Due, Christopher Golden, Josh Mallerman, all authors who are also in that other collection, V. Castro, Premi Mohammed, and then a bunch of people I also haven't heard of. Cool. Okay, and then I have a couple that aren't on Goodreads at all yet, but keep an ear out for them. I don't know what I'm saying. Scream Queen by Sujin Witherspoon, a rom-com thriller about rival cheerleaders whose brazen attempts to win over the quarterback result in his death. Forced to team up, they must bury the crime and their growing feelings towards each other. Yeah. Raven Lalani just announced her next book. It's called Material. It says it centers a group of women, all artists, tied together by the fallout of a scandal and the ways in which they wrestle with doubt, corroboration, exposure, rage, and how to make something from the material of their lives. Kate Folk announced her next book. It's called Use Your Illusion, set in 1990s small-town Iowa, in which an insurance salesman becomes dangerously entwined with his mysterious and charismatic new coworker who persuades him to lie to the police about the sudden death of a colleague. That sounds good. Nam Joo Han is on a roll. She's died over 100 times. Stuck in a Korean bathhouse afterlife circle, she's desperate to get back to her unfinished business in the above world. To escape, Nam Joo must traverse a maze of intricately designed challenges and puzzles, each doling out painful deaths if solved incorrectly. Inspired by the video game Hades, Dante's Inferno, and Spirited Away, the final death of Nam Joo Han will take you to hell and back as Nam Joo tries to game death itself. Fuck yeah. Let's end it there. That sounds like my perfect book. And those last couple, we have to wait till 2027 for them. And that's it for me today. All of the new releases that have come across my desk that I wanted to look more into and potentially intrigue you with. We talked shit about the covers and complimented the covers. What was your favorite title? What book is now on your TBR? Which book, like me, did you think would intrigue you and then lost you along the way? Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in a vlog this coming weekend. Bye!